My name is Matt Ratner. I'm on the board of directors of the JDCA as well as our new leadership council. And it is my absolute pleasure as a longtime friend of the pod to sit down and talk to a dear friend of our organization, Crooked Media's own Jon Lovett.
Hi, thank you for having me. Good to see you, Matt.
Jon, thanks so much for joining us. You were gracious enough actually to speak at a similar event for us 2 years ago. That was just before the 2020 election. And I still remember very well what you said then, that as Jewish Democrats, we're not just observers, that looking out for those who have less, rejecting the politics of division and lawlessness is central to what it means to be Jewish and to be Jewish in America. Reflecting back these last 2 years, what are the ways in which you've seen Jews, both in government and in our communities, live up to that task, to that obligation of tikkun olam to repair the world? How has the Jewish vote and our collective Jewish voice made a difference?
Well, for one thing, together we elected a Democratic president and helped defend democracy in one of its greatest threats it's ever faced, in the face of a White House that refused to concede and then tried to launch a coup and continues to this day to try to undermine our democracy and voting rights and the ability for people to come together and choose their leaders, even if certain people don't like the outcome of those elections. There's no group that understands better the importance of staying in the fight no matter what, and that it is a long term struggle, a long term effort where there will be wins and there will be defeats, and there'll be that other thing where you kind of feel as though can't move the ball forward or back.
We spent thousands of years wandering the desert. We can spend 2 years, fighting to preserve democracy.
Yeah, look, no, and we've also no group of people has spent more time complaining about a single bad trip
Right.
than us.
We're very, yeah, we fetch with the best of them.
Exactly, exactly,
Midterms just seem to turn everyone into armchair meteorologists, and
for sure.
many of them are now seeming to downgrade the red wave to more of a red drizzle. But we're still seeing a lot of kind of anxious hand wringing instead of action. Uh,
Yeah.
so, so sort of a two-part question for you. First is, do you worry that all this forecasting breeds complacency? The sort of "we're going to lose anyway, why bother" approach. And second, what can we do to close that enthusiasm gap to convince people that yes, we actually have a shot not just to stave off a wave, but to expand our majority in the House and Senate, to sweep in a whole host of progressive governors and state legislators while we're at it?
A lot has changed in the last few months. I do think the Dobbs decision woke a lot of people up. It did it in two ways. One, it reminded everybody that Trump was a symptom of a deeper rot in our politics and a deeper rot specifically in the Republican Party in its efforts to kind of put in place its extreme worldview despite a lack of popular will. And it also, I think, helped wake people up just in general to the fact that Trump, Republicans, whatever, that things really can get worse, that it's not just fear mongering, it's not just threats. I think a lot of people were saying for a long time, hey, Roe really could fall, Roe really could fall. And there was a kind of, I think, kind of political punditry that said things can't really get that bad. There's a kind of calm down caucus that had a lot of, I think, voice that looks
There's
pretty
sort of a,
stupid,
a
huh?
floor below which,
Yeah.
we couldn't.
And so that happens, and then there's this string of wins for Biden and the Democrats in Congress, and together I think that gives us a real fighting chance. We've seen, in New York 19, we've seen an unexpected victory for a Democrat. We saw in Kansas, a victory for the right of people to control their own bodies. We see voter registration numbers driven by women deciding they want to vote in November. So all those things are heartening, even as we see a kind of larger set of conditions that make us pretty nervous about whether we can keep the House and whether we can keep the Senate. But all that's just a way of saying we don't know what will happen, but we do know what should happen, and that's all we know.
Well, and we do know that the margins are going to be close. So just for a minute, if we sort of project and say that it's a year from today, we've all, you know, gone and done all the GOTV we can. We've worked hard and we've held the House. We've expanded our majority in the Senate. What have we accomplished? What kinds of sort of policies, changes, accomplishments are on the table if we win?
The first thing we could do is we could uh, protect uh, access to abortion in this country, and we could codify Roe into law. Right now we're in this fight to uh, pass a bill through the Senate that would protect marriage equality. If we had enough votes to overcome the filibuster, we had the opportunity to protect voting rights. We'd have the opportunity to expand healthcare. We'd have this opportunity to continue to build on the legislation we just passed on clean energy. We know we have more work to do there. There's a lot of things that we can do if we retain and enhance, if we retain and expand our power. Also, just at the state and local level, there are so many. Uh, uh, there are governor's races. There are attorney general races. There are even like local races for county clerk and other jobs that will determine whether the person in that job believes in the believes in free and fair elections, believes that their job is to conduct an election and do their best to count all the votes and to tell everybody who won whether or not their party is the party that won that election. That is a simple bedrock principle that in a lot of these elections only one of the candidates believes in anymore. So at the local level, I don't care where you are, there is an important swing race where you live or nearby where you live right now. So then it's up to us. It's up to us to like donate to candidates so they can get their message out, but also donate our time. And that's talking to our friends, talking to our families, that's talking to our neighbors, that's phone banking, that's writing postcards, that's knocking on doors. We have to help people understand the stakes in this election when all the other institutions are either trying to lie to them or be disingenuous with them about what's at stake.
That would be it is so critical, and that would be such a lovely note to end on. Except, of course, we can't let you out of here without playing a game.
Okay.
Yeah, per game.
Sure, let's do it.
For those of you who are unfamiliar with the rant wheel, that's really on you at this point. Go
100%.
listen to Lovett's podcast. But if you are unfamiliar, it's exactly what it sounds like. We spin a wheel, whatever it lands on. John, you'll give us a brief rant about it.
Great. Right. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So it has landed on gefilte fish.
I don't want it.
I mean,
I just think we can do better. I think we can do better than gefilte fish. I think we can come together and find a different and better way for that course. It's the food version of intergenerational trauma, passed down from generation to generation. It's inflicted on people.
You've been incredibly gracious. We'll give it one more spin and get you out of here on this. And it has landed on possible slogans for Jewish Democrat merch, specifically Jews Against Coups.
I love Jews Against Coups, all right? It's simple. It's to the point. It could fit on a bumper sticker. It rhymes. We're Jews Against Coups.
Big fan of rhyming here.
We're Jews. We don't like coups.
Got like a good mouthfeel.
I love it.
We know you really just did it for the swag, but why? Whatever the reason, we so appreciate.
Well, here's the reason.
We so appreciate all the work that
one reason is to remind everybody: please sign up and do what you can, because if we don't, nobody will. And then we're Jews who don't have to worry about coups because we lost fair and square.
Because we lost. Let's not lose. Let's win. Jon Lovett, thank you
so
much.
This is great.